we're live. Happy Thursday, everybody, and hope you're all very well. I'm here with Debbie and Beth today. For those of you who've been watching us for a while, you'll know that Debbie and I run an international mindset school. We are mindset and sales trainers for people who are looking to grow and evolve. So hence the name, Growth and Evolvement Consulting. So we're here with the amazing Beth Underhill, who is in the real estate and financial space. We're going to hear a little bit more today about what she does and how she really helps people. So Debbie, I'll hand it over to you.
Yes, welcome, Beth. And let's start by you sharing a bit about what you do. What do you do and how do you help people?
Well, first off, ladies, I want to say thank you for having me here. It's an honor and a pleasure. And I'm excited to share a little bit about my story, what it is that I do, and see how I can help others. So I am a real estate investor. I have been a real estate investor since 2018. Prior to that, I was a serial entrepreneur, still am to some extent, and have multiple owned and operated multiple businesses. I also, as of early this year, entered into the financial services space. And that came about through real estate. I decided after taking a look at my portfolio and just what I wasn't doing to ensure that I would pass along a legacy to my daughter, I decided to empower myself and obtain my insurance license. And then also started, studying and figuring out how is it that I can help other individuals ensure that they are prepared for the what if, prepared for if something doesn't happen, and just ensure that, their loved ones are taken care of, as well as when they leave this earth, that, things are handled in the manner that they can be handled. So there's protection for people all the way around. So that's what I do.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you talk a lot about developing a money mindset, Beth. Talk a little bit about that. Your story is very powerful, so feel free to share as much as you like.
Okay. Well, thank you. A money mindset I didn't always have a money mindset. It was something that was elusive for a very long period of time. I recall I was just telling the story not too long ago to someone when I was growing up. I watched my dad. He and my uncle co-owned a shoe business that my grandfather had started. And of course, once my grandfather retired, he passed it along to his two sons. And, I just kind of saw his entrepreneurial spirit and just who he was. And I thought to myself, that's me. That's who I want to be. And, so, we would have conversations, talks, and so forth. But what my dad never did is he never shared all the money secrets. So I thought that was interesting. But I decided early on in life that, I wanted to earn as much money. So I started when I was age 13. I was an umpire for softball leagues that were local to our area. Then my first real job, if you want to call it, was at Burger King, and had a lot of fun flipping burgers and French fries and all of the good stuff there. But as I started earning money, I was saving, I was setting it aside. I wasn't a huge spender until at age 16, ran into, I don't even know how I want to say this, but found myself going down a very dark path. And a lot of it had to do with perfectionism. And I ended up, going down this path with a 26-year eating disorder, battling bulimia. And if you know about bulimia, there's binging, purging. So for me, food was always one of those things that, I had to find sources of food to kind of supply my habit, so to speak, much like a drug addiction. So money was something that I needed in order to support my habit. So early on in college, my parents did not want me taking on a job my freshman year, but I wanted to take on a job because I wanted to make sure I could support my habit. And so I found myself in this vicious cycle that I would be earning money, but I would be spending that same money, and I'd earn money and I'd spend that money. And a lot of times I found myself in debt because I was spending more than I was actually bringing in. But it was throughout that all that, really my money mindset was nowhere to be found. The girl who was age 13, 14, 15, who wanted to accumulate and set aside as much money as possible and do great things with it, no longer existed. And, for 26 years, I really put myself into a very dark place, not only with myself, but just even valuing who I was as an individual and whether or not I deserved to have money. And it wasn't until really, I would say, over the last 2 and 3 years that I discovered that I had an issue with money and of not feeling as though I deserved it. One day I sat down and I started calculating, how much did I really spend over those 26 years, between food and, credit card debt. And then, I had to have numerous, dental, what I went through from a dental perspective, I wish that on nobody. And so, total, it's about $500,000 that I could say I spent, but in my mind, I wasted. It was a very expensive addiction, very expensive learning curve, very expensive, whatever you want to call it, but journey, an expensive journey. More so than some people who may have lost money in the stock market. Because there was more to it than just losing the money. It was losing my identity as well too. So, I started working on that, about working on valuing myself, who I am as an individual, who I am here on earth, who who do I mean to God, that, even though I did all of that, I can still redeem myself. So I thought, how can I do this? And the best way I knew how was to start educating, other people, other young girls, especially. I have a passion for helping girls fresh out of college, just kind of go down the right path with their money and what they can do with it. And if they are struggling, with if it's an addiction, or if it's alcohol, or if it's their weight or whatever, I can at least provide a story, that hopefully they can resonate with and see that, hey, I can help you get to the other side. So that being said, money again was always one of those things that I felt I didn't deserve. And it really has taken me a long time to get to that point, to feel okay, now I have a money mindset and I'm making better decisions. I mean, there were decisions that both my husband and I made over the course of, we've been together now 26 years, and we've made decisions that I'm thinking to myself, where did that come from? Why did we think that that was a wise decision? But in the moment we did. And also too, I think we were, I would say that he has struggled too with a money mindset for, I don't want to say the same reasons, but some of his own struggles, growing up and so forth. And so I think we always thought that, okay, we're hard workers, but we deserve this, but why aren't we getting this? So then we would kind of look to those fast ways of making money, thinking that that was going to solve everything. But in essence, it never did, because we didn't believe it up here. We didn't believe it, in our heads, in our hearts, that we were deserving, that everything that we were doing, all the help we were giving to people, that it would come back to us. And I think if you can't believe that, then you're not going to be open to receiving all the blessings that can come your way.
That's so powerful. I want to really highlight something. First of all, thank you for sharing that story, because it's just incredible. I know a lot of people will be watching and have gone through all kinds of different things and might realize, or might be at the point right now where their money mindset is not where it could be. And you pointed out, and this is so true, there's two aspects to it. There's the mindset around it, and then there's the skill set. So it's having the financial awareness, and what do you do? How do you save? How do you invest? But if there's a deservability piece there, it can affect our behavior and actually following through on the skills that we know. And you've got so much wisdom that you're going to be sharing with these people on how to go from both angles, getting the right mindset around it and really healing the wounds that are there so that they can receive the money that they're asking for through their services, and then how to actually wisely, what to do with it, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. And I will say this, over the course of the last well, we're September, so I guess the last 8 months, beginning of the year, we had a bit of a financial setback in December of last year. And, once the calendar turned, it was like, okay, new year, good things are going to happen. And it wasn't until I really started practicing certain things, tithing being one of them, and being faithful about tithing. That was number one. Number two, just really having the faith that, we're going to be taken care of and that everything is going to be all right. And, started to see a few things shifting, end of January into February and March. And then once I met you ladies and actually joined the group in May, I really started to see a shift and I remember I had taken, a month off after I returned from Italy, and I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, I am all over the place. I need to kind of get my head set again. But it really kind of shows the power of number one, what you ladies are doing and the impact that it has, but two, remaining diligent and faithful to practices that can yield the results that you're looking for. And, just getting off track with some of those things, especially, I kind of gave myself a break when we went to Italy for our 25th wedding anniversary, saying, okay, you know what, for 10 days, I'm going to unplug. I'm not going to do all the things that I would normally do. But then coming back and trying to get into it was harder than heck, So I was like, maybe I won't be taking that break again. And I will continue to figure out, when I am away, like what's important. Maybe I don't have to do all the things, but I at least have to do some things that are going to keep me in a cadence in order to make that return easier.
Yeah, I love all of that, Beth. And thank you for sharing. And yeah, we always say every day is day one with the mind. We can't take days off. So what would you say has been your biggest takeaway or like something you've implemented since working with us that you absolutely love that's really changed your life? What would that one thing be?
Hands down, it's the voice loop. And, if you're out there not knowing exactly what a voice loop is, I didn't know what a voice loop was. I remember seeing in our Facebook chat, the messenger chat, people commenting about voice loop. And then there was a session that we had, and I asked you ladies, like, what's this voice loop? Like, what do so you had told me, okay, download Parrot. And so I did. And we came up with a voice loop. And refined it a bit as well, and then I recorded it. So I recorded one that at the time I called the short voice loop, and then I remember I think it was Debbie. I think you had made mention of if you want something that's longer and whatnot, you can do that. So the day we were leaving for Italy, this was June 22nd. I found myself recording a very lengthy voice loop, thinking to myself, this is going to be good for me to listen to like on the plane and, et cetera, et cetera. So I recorded it. And I, of course, so I've got a long one. I've got a short one that I now have titled I Am Prosperity. I've got a money mantra as well, too. Mm-hmm. But the short voice loop and the short voice loop is, I think it's just slightly over a minute. I now have it memorized. So I can, just say it whenever, wherever. Occasionally I get like one or two lines mixed up, and I'm like, hey, as long as the lines are in there, then they're in there. But what's really cool is that I can be driving, I can be at the gym, I can be folding laundry, and all of a sudden that voice loop will pop into my head, and I just start saying it. And it's really been life-changing. I mean, it absolutely has. And I find that it's helped me to remind myself of who I am and that I'm deserving and I'm worthy. And I've seen things transpire as a result, especially over the last month, that I've embraced this voice loop even more so. I do this, it's called contrast therapy. So I sit in a sauna for 20 to 22 minutes. And then I go into this tub that's 50 to 55 degrees. So it's a cold plunge for 3 minutes. And I used to kind of on the little JBLs, I used to, pop something in and listen to it. And then I thought, well, wait a minute here, how can I take my phone in there and actually play my money mantra for 7 minutes, play my short voice loop for 7 minutes, and then the rest of the time play the long voice loop. And so I figured out that there's a spot in the sauna where I can place my phone that the heat doesn't get to it because it's on the floor and all the heat's like coming at you, more so like your head and your upper body and whatnot. And so I place it on the floor, and when I need to change it after 7 or 8 minutes, then I do. But that to me, like, because I go 3 days a week, that has been absolutely life changing. Simply because it's designated, earmarked time that, I could have been listening to anything, right? I could have been watching a video of who knows what. But I chose instead that this voice loop is that important to me. These voice loops are that important to me. And I want to make sure that it is ingrained in my head that I am who I know I am.
Exactly. You're disciplined to the right habits, which is absolutely incredible. And they say the subconscious mind is most responsive to our own voice. So there's so many reasons to the voice loop, just top of mind. What am I working toward? What am I becoming? And just really entering into the spirit of your goal every day, every day. So Megan, anything to add there?
Yeah, well, a big part of the work we do and recommend is the auto suggestion, because we're all up against our old programming and this old narrative that just wants to comment on everything new that we're doing and say all these things that a lot of them aren't helpful. Now, one of the things that's impressive, Beth, is that, and we recommend auto-suggestion, the voice loop to a lot of people, but you have the discipline to actually do it every day. And as Debbie said, every day is day one with the mind. And we've seen people sometimes do it for a while and they start doing other things, and really prioritizing feeding your mind the right diet, the right ideas, and then how it influences your feelings and behavior. So would you comment on how does it make you feel, first of all, and does it affect how you behave or your confidence or anything around your activities?
First off, I mean, it's a great reminder, right? So it makes me feel really good, because what I have in that voice loop is what I know I am capable of being, and what I believe that I am. If I look in the mirror, I am confident. I am a confident decision maker, and I am strong, smart, powerful, beautiful. I am healthy. I am hydrated. I am rested. I am all of those things. And, to just continue to remind myself that, yes, this is who you are, Beth, because the world wants to come at you and tell you something different every single day. And it could be through, scrolling through Facebook that you all of a sudden don't feel as good as you are. It could be a comment that someone says. It could be just maybe a deal didn't necessarily go your way, or a client decided they didn't want to work with you. It's not a reflection of who you are. So you have to keep reminding yourself of who you are. And honestly, I do believe that when you can exude, that confidence, when you can exude that voice loop as far as, to other people, they're automatically going to be attracted to you. You're going to see that, hey, this is someone I want to be around. This is someone that I want to do business with. This is someone I want to get to know. And, so living it is so important. And I think when you can embrace it, when you can live it, I sleep easier at night. I sleep more peacefully. I walk around with more joy in my heart, in my head. I mean, one of the things that I try and remind myself every day is to find the joy in all I do. So even if it's emptying the dishwasher or feeding the dogs, or, have to get on a phone call and have a hard conversation, still find the joy in all you do. So it just really instills a level of, just a level of who we are, because I feel like I'm 5 years old again, right? Because that's who I believed I was at 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, right? Until a few things happened to me at age 16, and all of a sudden the world was telling me, you're not who you think you are. And instead of me saying, yes, I am, I didn't. I gave into it. And that's where I think that, you know, starting with voice loops as soon as you can in life is so essential.
Yes.
And it's so
Because
important.
like as kids, like, you know, we thought we could do anything. And
We did. We had a wild imagination too.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And the most powerful force in the world is suggestion. And like you said, outside suggestions get into people's minds. And it's like a lot of people, like the voice loop, what it does is it's like mental fitness. You are deliberately feeding your mind with suggestions. And as you said, you're radiating that energy out. And people are like, wow, Beth, this is some kind of an energy of confidence and strength and power and joy, versus the people whose minds are flooded with negative ideas. That's radiating out as well. So that mental fitness, and again, no more than physical fitness, the discipline to do it every day. And one of the things I like as a statement as it relates to autosuggestion, well, as it relates to anything that we go for mastery, it says masters don't play chance. And Debbie and I use a high level of voice loop as well, because otherwise we're playing chance. You're at the mercy of, most people are at the mercy of their outside world, what people say to them, what they see on the news, what their old programming is telling them. Versus when you actually get this mental fitness and you have the tools, again, it's just a voice loop is a tool to keep the mind right. And then you just keep moving in a good, positive polarity, and you see the best in things versus it's like best case scenario consciousness versus worst case scenario. So Beth, so happy to see you getting all those results from that. And again, you just have to keep it going. Every day is day one, today, tomorrow, every day. So that's so cool.
Love that. Best case scenario consciousness. I'm accepting that idea. Love that. And it sounds to me like you say, like you find joy in everything you do. That's living like in a state of gratitude every day. We should be grateful for everything. And that really shifts our vibration. And yeah, entrepreneurship demands a lot of faith, a lot of courage, you know, and the right mindset. That's why mindset is everything. Our results are 95% mindset. So for those of you listening, get yourself a mindset coach, because it's important. Look at Beth's story. And something came to mind earlier that, you know, a queen turns her pain into purpose. And that's what you've done.
Wow,
you know, that's really what you've done, is you've turned your pain into a purpose. And now you're helping a lot of people. And that's beautiful. That's what we're each here to do. You know, on earth, it's like, what is our purpose and how are we helping people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, I started a fitness studio many years ago, and it was what helped me overcome you know, my eating disorder. I had gotten to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I just was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. So many things were falling apart as a result. Businesses, my marriage, and whatnot, and found myself, you know, on my knees one night, you know, praying to God to take this away from me. And the very next day, it was a whole different plan from there on out, and it was amazing. But shortly after that, about a month or so later, a friend of mine, she and I came up with this idea for a fitness studio, and I was like, okay, this is what's going to help me to keep the healing going. I didn't share, you know, my story right away. But eventually, as I started to share my story, I started realizing the more I was sharing, the more I was releasing. And the more I releasing, like the old me, you know, the kind of shedding, like a snake would shed its skin, you know, old me every time I shared. But what I did not realize was the impact that it would have on so many ladies. And I realized that, you know, wow, you know, that it really helped me to heal, but it also helped so many other people. And that's, you know, what, like you said, what we're here to do is we're here to help.
Yeah.
And it's, I think that the sooner we can all realize that in life, you know, the sooner you can live a life that is so much more fulfilling. And I think there's a lot of people that go around in a state of unhappiness, and they don't realize that, you know what, go help other people out, because chances are someone's got a problem that is far greater than yours. And the moment that you realize that, like, you start to see, okay, wait a minute here. My life isn't as bad as what I thought. So
yes, I say that to my daughter all the time. Like, somebody will always be smarter and prettier, but you know what? You've got it pretty darn good, you know?
Exactly.
So Thank you so much, Beth. This was amazing. Thank you for just being courageous enough to share your story and being willing to help lots of people through this. So how can people connect with you? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok at Investing with Beth. Easiest way though, if you'd like to connect and schedule some time, email me, beth@investingwithbeth.com. Or you can always text 513-470-1078. Again, that's 513-470-1078.
Love it. I love how you just throw your phone number out there. Yeah, that's what we got to be willing to do.
And if you're watching and Beth's story inspired you and you have a question, be proactive. We say this, life is too short to be shy. Okay, you might be like, oh, I'd love to ask Beth a question, but people always have this perception, oh, I might be bothering them. No, like Beth is on a mission to really help people and to deliver these ideas and share the wisdom that she has. So if that's resonating, or someone who really needs some education in the financial space, or their mindset is not quite where it needs to be around money, reach out and book an appointment. This is how it could be the start of the next phase for you. So Beth, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We love seeing you grow and evolve and just enjoying the process, because like you said, a lot of people are going around like suffering, and a lot of it is to do with the programming or the mental unfitness. And then when you get all of that right, it's not that we don't have challenges, but it's just the way we go about navigating them. And as you said, finding the best and finding the joy in things.
Yes.
Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate your time today.
Yes, thank you so much. And keep up the great work, Beth.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, bye.